Hi students, it's Miss Ayala. Today I'm going to be teaching you about comparison word problem structures. Now in a comparison problem, you will always have a larger quantity and a smaller quantity. Let's say, for example, your larger quantity is 12. And let's say that they told you that your smaller quantity was 8. So your difference would go right here. Your difference. Now, looking at this word problem structure, I know the larger quantity is 12. So the biggest number is 12. The smaller quantity is 8. So what do you think the difference is? You're absolutely right. Here the difference would be 4. Because 8 plus 4 equals 12. Look how that works. The larger quantity stops right there. Here's my smaller quantity. Here's my difference. So the smaller quantity plus the difference gives me the larger quantity because I can't have a bigger number in the difference or in the smaller quantity because the larger quantity is always going to be the biggest number that you have. Some helpful hints to remember, students, is that when you have a comparison problem, when you are reading your word problem and you notice words like how many more, if you see the words like how much less, how much taller, how much shorter, how much faster, how much slower, all of those questions indicate that it's going to be a comparison problem because it's telling you to compare two things. Let's say, for example, the word problem was about a giraffe and a dog. The comparison would be something like how much taller is the giraffe than the dog? So comparison problems are always going to have two things in the word problem that you're going to have to compare. You're going to have to see which one's taller or shorter or faster or longer. You'll always have two things to compare. And in a comparison problem, you will always have a larger quantity, a smaller quantity, and you'll always have a difference. So those are my three options for my unknowns. I can have a larger quantity unknown. I could have the smaller quantity unknown, or the difference could be unknown in my word problem. Okay, so here is our first problem. In our mind movie steps, we read the problem all the way through. The second time we read the problem, this is when we create the mind movie in our head about it. We see what's happening in the movie, who's in it, what are they doing, finding our unknown. So go ahead and read the problem silently to yourself and then make a mind movie. Okay, so after reading it twice, my mind movie, I see Anna and she's making cookies. And she's making cookies at 2 different times during the day. What were the 2 different times during the day? Good, the morning and the afternoon. Good job. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to our problem because I'm going to want to circle some important information. It said Anna made 243 cookies in the morning. I'm going to put an M for morning. And 189 cookies in the afternoon. I'll put an A right next to that number. That's the afternoon. Now, the question says, how many more cookies? Right there, it tells me that I'm looking for the what? The larger quantity, the smaller quantity, or am I looking for the difference? Good. Here I'm looking for the difference because it gave me the biggest number. It gave me the smaller number, and I'm trying to figure out how many more cookies she made in the morning than in the afternoon. So I'm looking for the comparison. I'm looking for the difference. So let's set up our problem with our word problem structure. So let me draw my line. I'm going to do my larger quantity. And my larger quantity, would I label it morning or afternoon? Good. I'm I'm going to label it morning. And how many cookies did Anna make in the morning? Perfect, 243 cookies. Okay, so next label is going to be, of course, the afternoon. And how many cookies did Anna make in the afternoon? Good, 189. So should I make it as big as my 243 rectangle? No, I shouldn't. Good job. So I'll put it to about here. Afternoon. And what do I put in that box? Good, 189. Now I have to dot, and I'm going to stop those dots exactly where that one stopped. And what is that section of my word problem structure? What is that? Good, that's my difference. My difference. And here, do I know my difference yet? No, I don't. I'm going to put my question mark there. And now I know that this is a difference unknown problem. I had, and it told me my larger quantity. It told me my smaller quantity. I'm looking for my difference. So, okay. Now that I have everything labeled, I drew out my structure. I labeled, I put all my numbers in. How am I going to solve this? Now, remember what I told you. Word problem structures are amazing because once you set it up, the answer is really clear. If I can see that 243 was my larger quantity, and then my smaller quantity and my difference made up both the same amount of space as my larger quantity. So there's two ways that I can do this, but the quickest way, of course, would be to do my larger quantity minus what I know, minus my smaller quantity to equal the difference. Since I'm looking for my difference unknown, that is the best way to solve this problem. I'll take the larger minus the smaller for the difference. So let's do that. Let's do 243 minus the smaller quantity, which is 189. Now, of course, every time we subtract, we always double check that the larger number is on top, and this where it definitely is. Go to your ones place. What is 3 minus 9? That's right, you can't do. You need to regroup. So I'm going to cross my 3 out, cross my 4 out. 4 is going to turn to 3. Excellent. Now the 3 in the ones place is now a, good, 13. 13 minus 9 is how much? Good, 4. 4 in the ones place. Now let's move to our tens place. 3 minus 8? Can't do it. That's right. So what do I have to do? Good, regroup. 2 turns into 1. This 3 is now, good, 13. 13 minus 8? Good, 5. So 54, but 54 what? Miss Ayala always loves the labeling. 54 what? Good, cookies. 54 cookies. So now that I know that 54 cookies was my difference, I can come back in here and I can write 54 in the difference unknown box, because now I figured out my difference. Okay, now in every word problem structure, remember there's always two equations. We have our situation equation and our solution equation. Now, our solution equation is simple because it's how we actually solved our problem. And up here shows us exactly what we did to find the difference to solve our problem. We did 243 minus 189 equals our question mark. That was our solution equation. That's how we found it. Now, our situation equation for any comparison will always be larger minus smaller equals difference. Always larger quantity minus smaller quantity equals difference. And in this instance, of course, my larger was 243 minus the smaller quantity was 189, and that would equal my difference, which is what I was looking for. So you'll notice in this situation, both my situation equation and my solution equation were exactly the same. And the reason that that worked out that way is because whenever you're searching for the difference, if you have a difference unknown, both of these equations will be absolutely the same. So the last step to my problem, of course, is to answer in a complete sentence. So I'm going to go back to my word problem and make sure I use the same words that are in my word problem. So, Anna made, what did we find out? Good. 54 more what? Good. More cookies. Now go back to your problem. Cookies in the morning. Then in the afternoon. Always answer in a complete sentence and use the words from your word problem. Okay, class, now let's try this problem. Again, we do both steps. We create our mind movie. It says LJ has $376. He has $129 less than Norma. How much money does Norma have? Okay, so I'm going to look at the information that it gives me. Let's see what it tells me. It says that LJ has $376. He has $129 less than Norma. So my two people I know are LJ and Norma. And it's asking me how much money does Norma have. Okay, so I have to focus on Norma. Norma's going to be my answer. But let's go back to my problem. Listen to it one more time. LJ has $376. He has $129 less than Norma. So if he has less than Norma, which person is my larger quantity? LJ or Norma? You're absolutely right. Norma would be my larger quantity. And we know that because it says LJ has $129 less than Norma, which means he's got less money. So Norma is my larger quantity. LJ would be my smaller quantity, and it tells me what LJ has. It says it right here. So LJ has $376. But he has $129 less. So I can't make LJ's rectangle the same size as Norma. So I'm going to put his about here. And I'm going to write in what number? Good, 376, because it shows me right here exactly how much money LJ has. It says he has $129 less than Norma. So what do you think the $129 is? Good, absolutely right. That's the difference. So I'm from a little dot, 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 all the way up here and down. That is my difference. So I can put 129 right there inside my difference box. So here I am looking for Norma's, because the question said, how much money does Norma have? So here, let's see, let's label and make sure. Norma was my larger quantity. LJ was my smaller quantity. 129 was my difference. So here, this word problem is a larger quantity unknown. Because it gave me the smaller and it gave me the difference. So how would we solve for the answer? Good. Remember what I told you, that if we are looking through and we can see that the larger quantity stops right here and the difference and smaller quantity stop right there, how could I find my larger? Absolutely right. I would add my smaller quantity and the difference together to get my larger quantity. Okay, so let's do that together. Ones place first always. What is 6 plus 9? Good, 15. And we need to regroup that. So 5 in the ones place, 1 in the tens place. Let's do our tens. 7, 2, and 1. Good, 10, 0 here. Let's regroup it. 1 in the hundreds place. Let's add our hundreds. Answer, 3, 1, and 1 is, good, 5. 505 what? Good, dollars. We were talking about money. Okay, but we're not done yet. We still need our two equations, and we need to answer it in a complete sentence. So my two types of equations. My solution equation is how I solve the problem. So how I solve the problem is really simple because I see it right here. It's exactly what I did to find my answer. So my solution equation was 376 plus 129 equals question mark. That is my solution equation, how I solved it. My situation equation remember, is larger quantity minus smaller quantity equals the difference. So did I know my larger quantity? No, I didn't. That's what I was looking for. So my question mark goes here. Minus, what was my smaller? Good, 376 equals, what was the difference? Good, 129. So my solution equation and my situation equation were absolutely different this time because I was looking for the larger quantity unknown. And in order for me to find the larger quantity unknown, I had to add the smaller and the difference together to find the larger quantity. So I wrote my two solutions. Now we need to answer in a complete sentence. So again, we go back to our problem. We were looking for how much money Norma made. So let's answer, of course, using her name. Norma has $505. Okay, students, as a reminder, remember you can have three unknowns. You can have the larger quantity unknown, the smaller quantity unknown, or the difference unknown. The way you set up your word problem structure is you decide which one is the larger quantity and which one is the smaller quantity. Reading through the word problem, you'll be able to figure out which of the two you have. If you have the larger quantity, of course, it'll be like this. If you have the smaller quantity, remember it has to be smaller than the larger, and then your difference would be the difference between the two. So, example, I'm going to plug in some numbers here. If this was the number 12 and this was the number 9, what would go in my difference box? That's right, 3. Okay, guys, so remember there's two ways to find your unknowns. You can either add to find the larger quantity or you subtract to find either the smaller or the difference. All right, guys, it's your turn to try now. Good luck. Have some math fun.